Alright, if you are struggling with the isometric drawing, this is going to give you a quick tutorial on how to do it. The box is just basically a cube, so let's start with that. Our box is supposed to be 5 inches along the width, 4 inches along the depth, and then 4.5 inches along the height. It's supposed to be drawn at half scale, so we divide all those numbers by 2. Let's start here in the middle of the page so we have plenty of room to work. And we're going to draw our 5-inch length. 5 inches divided by 2 is 2.5. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure 1, 2, and then find the halfway point. And draw a line. Now I measured from 10 because 10 to 8 is still 2 inches, but for anyone who needs to see it, here it is. 1, 2.5. Okay, 2.5 inches. The height of our cube is 4.5 inches. 4.5 inches divided by 2 is 4 divided by 2 is 2, and a half divided by 2 is 1/4. So our total height should be 2 1/4. So again, I'm going to look at my ruler, and it's 1, 2, and then I need to find 1/4. Right there is 1/4. I could find it 2 ways. One, I know, 0, 1, 2, and 1/4. Or I find a half, and I divide it in half, so I have 2 1/4. And I draw that line. This next line is the same. 2.5 back. And 2 1/4 down. And if it's done correctly, all my measurements should match up. Made that dot a little bit big for a good drawing. Notice how with each line I drew one single line. I didn't trace back and forth, didn't scribble. I drew one single neat clean line with my mechanical pencil. That's supposed to be part of your everyday life here. And I used a ruler. Now, the depth of our box is 2 inches. So I line up and I set up and I measure back 2 inches. The ruler went up just a hair. Went up with a bugger. Try that again. Now I'm going to go up 2 1/4. Notice how the line gets smaller there? So I need to erase and do again. I knew I should have put my ruler on the opposite side. Working around the camera can be tricky. Alright, try this again. There you go. That's a better one. I'm going to connect up there, and then I need to make my 2-inch depth over here. And then I'm just connecting the dots from here to there. Alright, now I need to show that one side is an open face. I don't need to worry about showing any of the hidden lines on an isometric because an isometric is supposed to be a semi-realistic drawing. Now, in our box, the bottom side comes up 1/8 of an inch. So I'm sorry, 1/4 of an inch in real life. So on our box, we're going to measure up 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to measure up 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to measure up 1/8 of an inch. Because if you build a model of the box, and you look at it, you can see the edges all the way around. So I'm going to line up the dots that I made. Come over and come back. Now I need to show this side piece, and again it's 1/8 of an inch in, and this one is 1/8 of an inch in. I've got those two. I'm going to show my top piece first, 1/8 of an inch. Of an inch, and I'm going to connect my dots, and I'm going to take it back, making sure that the line is parallel, like that. I'm going to connect my dots for this side, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. And connect the dots. Now at this point I have a box, but it doesn't quite look right. And the reason it doesn't look right is we forgot to add in the depth here. So what I need to do is I need to set my ruler up, and I need to measure back. Now the mistake that I made when I first did this was I measured back 2 inches. But to the back of the box is 2 inches. But remember, there's a little piece of wood back here that comes in. That piece of wood is 1/4 of an inch thick, which means that from here to the back of the box, it's actually 1 3/4 of an inch. So that would put us to about here. So I'm going to go and measure 1 3/4 from this line back. So it goes 1, 1/4, 2/4 or 1/2 inch, 3/4, and I'm going to make my mark. And I'm going to draw a line straight back to that mark. I overshot, so I'm going to erase. Now here, since that mark doesn't go to the back, that means that we are at the back wall. So I need to draw that back wall. And I just go to where that corner is and make sure my lines are parallel to the object lines, and now I have my box. The only thing I need to do now is add my circles at the halfway points on there. I think you can do that part on your own.